Hello, everyone. It's me. It's Prime Time Moff, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host Oddimus Prime, who has been joining me for weeks upon weeks as we've delved through the vast history of Transformers and our weekly show, Transformers 84 to 24, 40 years of rolling out. A show that in this year, where we've celebrated the brand's 40th anniversary, we've looked back and delved through the vast history of Transformers, a vast history we did not anticipate was quite as vast. Has been a bit challenging. So this is why in these last few episodes we are kind of condensing the episodes into kind of small chunks to do specific bits. So this one we're looking at the years 2019 to 2021, where we look at like War for Cybertron, Siege, Earthrise, and Kingdom. So please like, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything on this incredible journey. We are recording very early in the build up to Christmas. We're trying to squeeze all of our episodes in so that we're prepped. I think Simon is on his seventh coffee just to keep alive.
Tea, actually. But...
Tea. How are you this fine morning for us? Whatever
I,
time you
I'm good. I mean, to be fair, it's not that early, but I did have to get up earlier than now. Um, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. It's the end of the work time, so I'm now in holiday mode. Well, I will be when I start working up. Yeah, it's all good. How are
Yeah, I
you?
feel the same. Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm looking forward to this conversation, and I think it's funny. Like we're looking at years that aren't that far far removed from. It's only a few years ago, but even when we're just in the preamble talking up this, there's things I forgot or didn't realize dropped in this point because this was the COVID times. This was a challenging time. This is a point where time means nothing. Um, so I'm looking forward to chatting through. And there's some really, I think, the bit we've talked about is the aspect of having kind of personal stories of these time periods. And there's good
Mm.
stories in this time period as well that we can share as we go through it. So let's kick off then jumping into media. So we have no movies at this point. We talked about in the last episode, we had two movies in a course of kind of 18 months.
Mm.
And then we go a point where we don't have any movies for a few years.
No,
Just
it's
quite
one
an
of the
interesting
longest
thing, isn't it?
periods, actually, I think, with no
Yeah.
no movies at all.
So what do we go? We go 2018 through to 2023.
Yeah.
It must be the longest period, which is an interesting bit. And obviously, we know then that we've had one this year as well. I know there's the G.I. Joe kind of crossover one, but
Possibly.
we're in a kind of same point of we don't know what's coming next. We don't really know. The after the Paramount's sorry, Paramount Hasbro's news of pulling out of backing them. Don't know what is actually going to happen with the next one. Is it kind of back up in limbo? So we might be another few years before we get another Transformers movie in the cinema. But that being said, I do hope that in the 40th anniversary of Transformers, the movie, we get that back in the cinema. So that would be
I'm
good.
sure. I'm
But
sure.
so for this period, we only kind of have the television stuff to keep us going. So we see Cyberverse continue. Cyberverse was one that probably a bit like you with like RID and stuff. I wasn't interested in it. I didn't watch. I think we watched like the first handful of episodes in the first season. They were shorter. They were kind of like 11, 12
Yeah.
minutes, if I remember right. And it just didn't have the same feel that we had with RID for like me and my son. So we never really get invested in it. It wasn't until they all finished, and I think it must have been 2022, my birthday. We just spent the weekend and we watched the full whack. And actually, I think that's the best. Having done it, binge watching a show, like a series like that, where it was bingeable, was great fun. Me and the boys watched them, and it also then kind of led the stories in. And I have to say that the Cyberverse stuff was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Like
Mm.
once it got into the kind of later ones, you got characters in there that I just did not expect, and loads of kind of references to Transformers the movie. It had a kind of feel to that. It was a lot better than I thought it was.
I think one thing has become increasingly apparent the further we've got on with this is that I have watched very little of the TV shows. I always think I've watched a lot more than I have, and Cyberverse is another example of a show that I've not properly watched. Again, like you said, I started watching it when it was first released, when it was the shorter episodes. I think I was watching it on Daily Motion or something. I can't remember, but they just didn't grab me, um, and I didn't really go back to it. I've seen bits and bobs here and there later on, and lots of clips and stuff on YouTube and whatnot, and it does look like it's better than I'd given it credit for initially, and again, it is something I'll go back to. I think next year I'm gonna try and work my way through every series that I haven't given a proper chance to. I've watched the movies countless times, all of them, even the
Yeah.
really bad ones. I even watched The Last Night last week because it was on Channel 4.
I
But
do recommend doing that. I think it is good to kind of go back. I did similar this year, not in terms of going all of them. I kind of knew I wanted to watch something I hadn't seen before at my kind of birthday period. And I went and we've talked about this already, but I went and watched Master Force
mm,
and thoroughly enjoyed it. And it made me go, right, what am I going to do? I knew I would probably not do another show this season, this season, this year. But I'll probably do the same again for my birthday kind of time
yeah.
next year. And do I go another Japanese one? Do I go to one of the Unicron trilogies? I'm not sure. Definitely not going to be Rescue Bots. I'm going to put it out there that it will not be Rescue Bots. I don't. That doesn't really appeal to me in the slightest. The odd bits I've seen of it, there was nothing in it that made me excited about it. So.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make better use of lunchtimes at work because at the moment I just sort of watch random films that I've watched countless
Yeah.
times. So I think, maybe starting some series would be a good idea.
Maybe we could do a YouTube series where we
Hey,
watch and talk about it. If only we
that's
had a YouTube channel.
it's not a bad idea. Right, anyway.
So another one then that kicked off was Netflix era with War for Cybertron Trilogy, Siege, Earthrise, and Kingdom. I know they're quite divisive. I know there are people who do not like them at all. I'm always with Transformers more than anything else. I always look for the positives of them. First and foremost, that we get cartoons. Um, More so that this was the time where so there's a conversation in our friend group recently about Chug, mainline, where's the differentiation, right? So the way having been you've been in this franchise as long as I have, Chug is around the aspect of make sure I get this right. Generations, Henkai, Universe, no, Classics,
Classics.
Henkai, Universe, and Generations. The defining quality of the four of those was it was a modern take on the original G1 stuff. Okay,
Mm,
there's aspects of maybe other toys, but it was a modern, sorry, okay, change it that in actually. It was a modern take on previous release toys.
yeah,
So that's where you would get things like Beast Wars toys and stuff getting in. Whereas when they are, and this is just my opinion, I suppose, when they are the cartoon of that year, they're mainline. So Generation 1 was mainline, then Beast Wars was mainline, then RID, then Unicron Trilogy, and then Animated, and then Prime. So that at this point, mainline is actually Cyberverse. That's the main line. That's Hasbro's main
mm,
cartoon line. So War for Cybertron is not main line. You can't have two main lines, surely. So my headspace is this is the first time we've had a canon or a show that was put at the class at the collector side of the Hasbro
yeah, yeah.
toy line because that's essentially what the Power of the Primes trilogy was. That's what the War for Cybertron trilogy is. That's what Legacy is. That's the I mean classics, but I don't mean classics. I mean the collector side of it.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
again, just now, Earthrise is the main line. Earthrise is the cartoon that Hasbro are trying to push. Main line is what you're trying to bring people into. All the other stuff is a evolution of what we originally got in classics. I know it's obviously changed over the years and names. And I think at the very beginning even of the Power of Primes, it kind of was tailored at it was named as kind of generations and then it just kind of they've dropped the generations over time. But so anyway, so that was my long-winded way of saying that. I think I was just really excited and glad that we were getting a show that was aimed at or included the toys of the collector's line within Hasbro rather than the cartoons solely focusing on the kind of separate stuff. And I know we had the Machina stuff. However, they didn't really feel that they were widely available cartoon. It kind of was just like a kind of, oh, by the way, we kind of also got this thing. Whereas Netflix was, I mean, Netflix is Netflix. The fact that Netflix are doing a proper Transformers cartoon, are going to back this trilogy of Toylines, I thought was really cool. Seeing characters like your Jetfire and stuff like that in it was fantastic. Like I really enjoyed that. What's your takes on it?
I enjoyed it. I definitely watched all of Siege. I definitely watched all of Earthrise, and I didn't watch all of Kingdom. I sort of watched the first couple of episodes, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'll get back to that. That's now 4 years ago. Um,
Yeah,
I haven't quite got back to it yet, but it's still on my list. I think for the most part, I really enjoyed the storyline. It was an interesting slight deviation from sort of established canon. I do have a big gripe with the series, and that is I did not like, for the most part, the voice acting.
agree.
Um, that there was a whole thing at the time that they were using non-union actors for it, which meant that there were no like famous names. I know it was probably a cost-cutting measure or whatever else. So no pre-existing voice actors did any of the voices for anything. And that in itself I don't have a problem with, but I think that some of their choices of voices
Yeah.
weren't great, particularly Optimus Prime. I did not like. No offense to the guy that's doing the voice, he was doing a sterling job at doing voice acting, and I'm sure he's a lovely chap. But his version of Optimus Prime did not gel with me. I didn't like it.
I don't actually think you're wrong. Like, I think I found it most jarring in the Kingdom and the Beast Wars characters, if I'm honest,
Mm.
because we're kind of used to Optimus Prime having kind of different bits. We're used to these kind of ones. This is the first time we've had Beast Wars come back, and it was then like, this isn't the same, you know. The and any G1ers out there who are solely G1ers and get upset with the fact that Beast Wars are a better cartoon, shut your ears now. The voice acting in Beast Wars was far better than G1. Like
Definitely.
they brought those characters to life, like Rat Trap, Dinobot, like just so then you bring in that aspect. So I think it's your bar set high and then you bring in that lower quality in the nicest way, as you said. It has more of an impact, whereas the other ones didn't really bother me so much because I say we're used to a different Optus Prime, we're used to a different Bumblebee, we're used to all these characters we're used to. And as I say, the bar was set low at the very beginning. Like I don't think most with the kind of big ones, most of the characters in G1 they're kind of nothing because they were probably the voice actors were doing 4 or 5 characters, and it's like how do you differentiate them? The big characters, your Optimuses, your Megatrons, Soundwaves, they always felt a bit more special. The Your Thundercrackers and your Skywarps, just nothing. It's just the kind of main ones. But anyway, um, other than that, I think you're right. I think that was probably the big one that a lot of people got. It was kind of pacing of the voices as well. They were a lot slower and
It
really did
it
not have
was
gravitas.
they definitely followed the William Shatner school of voice acting.
They did, they did. So, but I think again, go back to a bit of we then haven't had anything since like that. And I'm like, I think Legacy's an interesting one because obviously it's been a bit of everything. But would it be nice to have something that would go along with that? I think more so going into what 2025 kicks into, I think that seems like it's going to have it's built around a story. You know, they're bringing the primes in. There's like it feels as if there's a backstory to it, but how are they telling that? Whereas Legacy's just like a best of. Legacy has been a best of this next season, Age of Primes does not feel like that's going to be that. That Age of Primes feels like there's a story to be told.
Hmm.
Are we getting something? And if not, that's a bit of a shame. You know, this had a story. This had an arc. Let's say Legacy that hasn't. not that I don't love Legacy, and we'll talk about it next week, but Legacy has been just as I say, a kind of best of. I always refer it to like it's a modern take on RID and Toyline wise. RID was a best of Toyline at that time. This is kind of been doing a best of. Um, but anyway, so let's move on then. Let's talk about some comics. So I've not really picked out too many of the comics from this year. I kind of tried to go with the kind of stuff that really stuck out to me. The first one of my favourites was Transformers '84: Secrets and Lies. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought it was very well written. The art in it's really cool, very throwback, which is
Mm.
is a kind of fun way of it had that modern feel, but a really good retro feel to it as well. And then we had some kind of crossover comics because at this point, and we'll talk about it in toys, but we start to see the crossover toys, and not in the crappy. Let's do crappy Star Wars ones, or the Marvel ones, the Iron Man stuff we didn't enjoy. We're into the real nice ones, with the Back to the Future and the Ghostbusters. So we'll talk about the toys in a minute or two, but the comics were cool. The fact that they again, like I just said about the TV show, you have media to sell these toys, you have media to make these toys kind of come to life. And I thought that was really clever. Like it's a nice way to. How do you explain why we've got a DeLorean Transformer? Well, we'll do a comic. How do you explain we've got a Ecto-1 Transformer? Oh, we'll do a comic. I kind of wish we were having that for the Knight Rider one. I think that'd be a
Oh,
good
that would be so
addition to
good.
the. And I think that's the. Again, you almost forget that when you're in these time periods, you forget how good you had it because you've
Yeah.
nothing to compare it to. You're just like, well, this is cool. I think we'll feel that way, but to be fair, with the Legacy and stuff, there'll be points where we're like, oh man, that was just such a cool era because it wasn't just G1-ish. And it, look through a lot of this trilogy of toys, a lot of it is just G1 until we get to the kind of Kingdom bit where it properly does go to Beast Wars because it's Beast Wars. But Legacy has been different. But anyway, so yeah, I would love for them to have continued the comics on. I know it's a new license holder now, and that might not be quite as easy, but I thought that was a really fun way to give us something to bring those toys to life.
Mm.
But we will specifically talk about the toys in a moment. Right, you're good at giving us an overview of the toy lines that came out in this period. We're only covering 3 years compared to last year's four, so it's not quite as bad. But there's some new lines that come in
Yeah.
during this period that are big relevance
There's
going
also
forward.
slightly fewer lines, so that makes things a
Yeah.
bit easier. So let's start with 2019. Botbots. Botbots was big, big Botbots. Um, Generations is obviously War for Cybertron Siege. Cyberverse had loads of stuff. Studio Series is really kicking into high gear with a bunch of new figures in this year. Takara had some lovely masterpiece stuff come out. 10 figures, in fact, which is bonkers. There's a vintage line because 2019, which we haven't really touched on yet, is in fact the 35th anniversary of Transformers. Nowhere near as big a deal as the 40th, but they did have a bunch of reissues in Walmart
Mhm.
exclusively of G1 toys. I actually was in America that year and I did pick a few up at the time, so that was pretty nice. And there was also a line of sort of cell shaded special edition figures that they brought out, which was quite cool as well. There was some masterpiece movie figures. There was some more authentics, which are the like it's the generic Transformers. They're all done to a very similar style, and they're cheap toys that just continue throughout the entire. Doesn't matter what is going on at the time. They'll just chuck these into cheap shots. So there's always Transformers about. The two collaborators which we mentioned, and there's a couple of collector's editions and a few other bits and bobs. And then 2020, we had even more generation stuff. Cyberverse was kicking into, well, still kicking into gears. There's loads of bits and bobs of that. Studio Series is still going. Generation Select and Takara is still going. More Authentics, more Masterpiece. RED, Robot Engineered Design, which is a terrible name for a toy line. That they kicked off. We'll talk about those a bit more later. More Masterpiece movie figures, more collaborative figures, and some more vintage figures in 2020. And then finally in 2021, again, more generations, more Cyberverse, more Studio Series, more RED, not RID, um, more collaboratives, 5 collaborative figures in 2021. That's interesting. Didn't realize it was that many. Some more vintage, and some more Generation Selects and Takara and Masterpiece. Uh, 2 TF Prime figures. What was that? Oh, I'll check that in a minute.
The
And
the
some more.
interesting bit as well at this point is we forget about the fact that we're focusing on just when you're saying that it just jumped into my head of the this is the Hasbro stuff.
Hmm.
We're probably into the era where they've started to let the license go out a wee bit more, and we're going to
Oh,
start seeing
definitely.
more kind of stuff kicking. Sorry, just where you're
No,
kind of
no,
saying it.
no, no, no.
What was
That's
the TF Prime ones? Was that the did kind of Gen Selects kind of reissue, kind of funky Transformers Prime ones? My
I'd
brain's
have to
thinking, going,
check
why do we have TF Prime?
because
Yeah,
I thought the 2 pack of the Air Vehicle and Breakdown.
that's the one I was thinking. Yep, yep.
I thought that was earlier than that, but maybe it was only 2021.
I remember we talked about this is a time period where time just becomes irrelevant
Yeah,
for a for a,
it's
for a period horribly.
very, very true. Yeah, it could have been nice. We'll check it out later. And yeah, that's about it. A couple of masterpiece movie figures, but nothing else exciting. But yeah, you're right. This is we're getting to the point where like some of the really big collaborations start coming along. So like Robosen, that appears at some point soon. Flame Toys has started producing those really the Kura figures
Yeah,
that
yeah,
are
yeah.
absolutely stunning. I remember seeing them at TFN, which must have been 2019, thinking on it. Um, and they were just phenomenal. The only issue I ever had with them was they're really expensive, really detailed, amazing to look at, but this big.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
absolutely tiny, but
yeah.
amazing.
I really
Um,
enjoy the Flame Toys model kits. I haven't
yeah, the
played them
model
for
kits
quite
are.
a while.
Oh yeah, because they were definitely about because I bought a couple of those in the States. So they were about as early as 2019. Thinking on it, um, so that's interesting.
Transformers Prime 2 releases were the Megatron 10-year anniversary with Armed Micron, Hades, and Gora, and the War Breakdown, which is the Viacon
Ah, s-
set. So there you go.
so you're right. Time had stopped. Okay, so what are we moving on to? We want to have you
We're
got
going to
anything?
get, there is one big toy add into that we haven't talked about in terms of Toylines, um, which is one of your big picks,
We'll talk
which is
about that when it gets to my big.
a new way for them to release toys.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Third party stuff. Was there anything exciting third party?
There's always exciting things in third party. Didn't go so many this time round. At this point, I wasn't collecting as much third party. I wasn't collecting as much Transformers for a while because we'd moved house. We were buying a new house in 2019, so kind of a lot of our funds went into that. So I kind of cut back on my spending, and the easiest one for me to cut at that point was third party. So there was a few years when I didn't buy anything third party, and then some just after this time period, somebody talked me into helping them with their toy business, and now I'm third party all the way. So the kind of key issue releases during this time for me that really stand out, and one I think you'll probably agree with as well. So there's kind of Fans Toys Thomas, which is a
Hmm.
fantastic, actually beautiful, beautiful figure. You've got Deformation Space Crimson Wings, which is my personal choice for MP Starscream. I think it's got a lot of character to it. I think it looks really nice, and it's not that expensive, which is good. This has multiple reissues as well. Going to have to pick Fans Toys Acoustic Wave because Soundwave. The
Obviously.
interesting part of this is, this was going to be a toy that was going to release what would it came out in 2021. It should have released in 2013, but this is the point where Fans Toys went, oh crap, Takara are doing a Soundwave. Let's just put it in the back burner and forget about it. Because I remember start like seeing those first images, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be buying that thing, and then it's like years later, obviously years later, we got that point. The one that I thought you would like was the MMC, and I'll see if I get this pronounced right. Is it Optus Nox?
Yeah, yeah, that's the uh IDW style Orion packs.
Yeah.
which is
It's a
a
beautiful
absolutely
figure.
fantastic figure. What I like about that figure is it's been the original AOC one is amazing. There's been various third party Legends class figures, some of which have also then been upscaled, and there's now a Hasbro version of that particular model, but the AOC one has just knocked them all out of the park
Am I
completely.
right that that's
Such a nice figure.
that's the one that, context of recording this a little bit early, but that's the one that's just been revealed by Blockies as well. That
Possibly.
that Prime. I'm sure that's the one they
Yeah,
just announced.
I actually haven't paid
Maybe.
attention.
But that's kind of my key highlights for third party. When we get to next week's episode, it'll be a lot bigger because that's at the point where I've joined Primetime Toys and I then become third party Primetime off.
Yeah, around this time though, I've gone a lot more into. So a couple of episodes ago, I'd barely scraped the surface of uh, third party stuff, but now I've got like tons. It is predominantly Optimus Prime, but also this is around the same time that I actually focused to Optimus Prime only, well, majoritively only. It was Kingdom that killed my enthusiasm for Chug because it got like Siege, Siege, Earthrise and Kingdom. There were so many awesome figures, but there were so many exclusives, and
Yeah.
getting
Yeah, that's a
hold of
good
them
point to
just
talk about.
became such a pain in the bum. And I think around it, I just lost my enthusiasm for it. I missed out
Yeah.
a pre-order for something, and then it was going to be really difficult to get. And
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I can't be bothered anymore. Plus, I also already had about 400 Optimus Primes at that point, so I thought, oh, I may as well just carry on with those.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. This was a point. There's always been exclusives. There's
Oh
always been
yeah,
exclusives.
definitely.
But this was a point where the exclusives probably never felt so close to being achievable, but at the same time, absolutely difficult and hard to get and easily missable. I missed out on the thrust, and I've never picked one up. I'm hoping they're with all the reissue stuff that I'm going to get a thrust because I think they are going to reissue it eventually,
I
which is
paid
good.
75 quid for Thrust.
It's just madness, isn't it? So it's a shame. It does make it difficult. It doesn't make it easy to be a collector, and I can see how people switched off. I think the bit that I struggled with during this time period was just repaint and repaint and repaint, and it was like I've never been a completist, but there is some fun when it's like I quite enjoy when it's like I'll get a complete wave because that wave has all got great bots. You get them all at one time.
Hmm.
There's just every wave there was something I was like, nah, I'll pass that. Pass that. I think I ended up with like three impactors, and it's just like
Yeah,
I don't need. I like some of this stuff. I don't need so many of it, and it was the I'm gonna. If you want this one figure, you need to buy two other figures that you've already got. That's the that's the tactic that Hasbro have done over the last few years that I don't enjoy.
yeah.
And I end up with toys. I don't get me wrong, I've got two kids. I just pass the ones I don't want
Hmm.
down. Like, and one of the two boys would eventually take them. So it always was fine in terms of somebody will have them. You're still essentially paying the price of three figures to get one figure, which is or up to, this year we had one that was to get Hound, you had to buy five figures. You're like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
that's what I don't like that kind of tactic. But I don't want to bash them because there was again,
Oh,
I think the some of the engineering we started to see and the last trilogy just comes to the forefront. Talking of repaints, that the irony of me saying that about repaints, the repaints to the sideswipe mold, that sideswipe mold is one of the best molds I've ever done, and I have bought every single. I think I've got every single one, every single repaint they've done of it because it's just so good,
yeah.
so good.
It's a cool figure.
And there are other molds in this that are absolute stonkers, and I think I've looked at our list, both lists, and I could quite happily had your list as being mine and be happy with it. And I
Yep.
think that speaks volumes. There's easy, easy 20 figures that fit in, and that's with us taking out some and cheekily putting them in our honourable mentions. So, with that in mind, let's kick off. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
No, you go first. You go first,
Oh,
because then it
fantastic.
leaves one specifically till the absolute last.
Yes. Which, I absolutely kicked myself when you picked it, but we'll talk about that anyway. It doesn't matter because you get to pick it, so I get to talk about it anyway. So this is my number one pick. Is one I've only just recently picked up and it was an exclusive that I slept on. I was like, I don't need it, I don't need it. And then when I suddenly decided, actually, I want it. When it had been clearanced, it was then gone. And then I was like, that's fine, I'm just not getting it. So our friend RJ put this up, and I literally was like straight away, like, I want this, thank you very much. And I think I upset Russ from Toys R Us because he really wanted it too, but he was just a bit too slow, frankly. So it is big powered, the Takara Tomy mall release. As I've moved into enjoying the Japanese stuff more this year, with Master Force also having picked up things like Jen Slick's Grand Max last year, I was like, I kind of just want to make sure I've got as much of the Japanese stuff as I can get. So being able to pick up the Big Power set was a real classic, and it's molds that I really enjoy, repainted, slightly remolded into a lovely set. So that's a big win for me and a good one to kick off, in my opinion.
I mean, you say slightly remolded. They were quite significantly remolded.
Well, yeah,
I
quite.
try to actually remember who the three parts are. It's Twin Twist
Yep.
slash whatever is the tanky bit, and then I can't remember who the other two bits are. It's
I was going to say Sky Shadow, but Sky Shadow, the Stroke Overlord mold, wasn't
yeah, and then
it?
who's the
Was it
third
the
one?
other
One of the
ones?
Jets. Can't remember. But they're awesome because they look so different from their original versions. They've got great looking robot modes, they've got great looking vehicle modes, and they do combine together to form a bonkers vehicle that, although it is bonkers and looks a bit daft, it does look just like the G1 version.
It
It's a
does.
really, really cool, stupid figure, and I love it. I got it new when it came out. Um, I sold it on quite a while ago, but it was I really, really enjoyed it. I really loved that figure. So nice.
Nice one. Right, so I think that was a good start off. What are we going for next? Yours? Kick us off with
So
yours.
I've gone for one of the staples of well, actually not just Siege, but it's been sort of moved on since then. Is the idea of Transformers that well, weaponizers, wasn't it? Was the first
Yeah.
ones. So ones that you can take apart and you can rebuild them in any number of different ways. You can combine them with other versions of themselves or other weaponizers. You can stick them all over different other bots, and they're such fun. And the first one of the first ones I got of that, and one of the best ones was Six Gun. When we talked about Metroplex the other week, Six Gun was missing, but they've redeemed themselves by bringing him out in 2019 as part of the Siege line. He's a little undersized compared to the Metroplex, so it would have been
Yeah,
perhaps
yeah.
nice to have him as a leader class, perhaps,
I
so that
think
the
I'd
guns would have
yeah.
been well. Then the guns would have been in scale rather than these teeny tiny little guns that he had. But regardless, he's a great figure. He's got loads of personality. He's really posable in robot mode. Looks really good in robot mode, and yet he's just got all these little bits of weapons that you can stick on other bots, and he's just fun. And I really love that the playability of and the look of the weaponizers. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I agree. And they obviously then so they had him. What was the three weaponizer of it? Because they had him, the guns for because they used the weaponizer gimmick bit to release the him.
Oh, it
Oh,
was
can I guess name for Fort Max? That's terrible. Cog.
Cog for
Uh,
Fort Max
yeah,
and
and then
the
Brunt. Was it Brunt?
Brunt, yeah, Brunt for
Um,
Tripticon.
which then they repainted to be the three Mailaways, which I can't think of their name.
Power Dashes.
Power Dashers. So again, like I know we slagged about the kind of repaint stuff, but when they've repainted to be obscure things that you never thought you were going to get, I
Yeah,
think that's a good use of using the repaint bit because actually they're not going to mold a new mold for Power Dashers or stuff like that. So I think it was quite good. But yeah, no, that's a cracking start because it was a good film because I think you're right. You know, when Metroplex came, it was like, oh, this is really good. But one of the best bits of Metroplex, the G1 toy, was was Six Gun, was Scamper, was the what's the wee white tank called? Because they obviously did him as well.
oh yeah, I forgot. but we like
But
Toylines.
anyway, so yeah, so the fact that they then kind of do him as well, like they kind of give you all the wee extra bits. Yeah, okay, you have to buy a separate toy. I was okay with that. I didn't mind that. Like,
No.
you have that throughout them. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to go into mine. Mine is an easy one, but I'm going to. Oh, it's not for just the fact that it's a cool toy. It's for what I was able to do with that toy. So it is the Soundwave reissue.
Mm.
You know, beautiful back in the a boxed version of the original box. Looks absolutely gorgeous. Mine's is incredibly special because I managed to meet Frank Welker in beginning of March 2020, just before this thing called COVID kicked in, and I was going to meet Frank Welker and Peter Cullen. It was a birthday treat. I'd organised for my 40th birthday. Me and my son get away for a wee weekend, going doing the kind of first of our proper geek trips to meet Cullen and Welker, and this story has a beautiful moment of me to get my Soundwave sign, and a horrible moment of I stood on the Friday morning before leaving with my box Optimus Prime in my hand and went, I'll hold off till TFN to get this signed because that'll be a more special experience. I'll not get this signed just now. I'll just get my movie poster signed and I'll get my Soundwave signed. And then the
Yeah.
world went to crap. But I did eventually get it, but that's a story for 2022. But yeah, so my Soundwave reissue is my one of my favorite toys from this period. I love G1 Soundwave. G1 Soundwave is one of the best toys ever created, not just in Transformers, just in general. Having it in a beautiful box, having it signed just makes that thing so special to me.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome one. It was a really good figure. I actually um almost picked that up several times and never did. Um, I don't really know why. 'Cause Soundwave, I mean, I mock about Soundwave Prime, blah blah blah, but Soundwave is my favorite Decepticon. I love Soundwave almost as much as I love Prime, but I do not have anywhere near as much Soundwave stuff. Um, but yeah, it's a great reissue. It's a really nice box, and yeah, good shout.
And then your next choice?
So I've gone for another Siege figure. I've gone for, well, but not an actual normal Siege figure. I've gone for Siege Refractor, but they released it. I think it was Comic Con, as a box set. I
Oh,
forget what the box set was called, but I'm not even going to bother looking it up because I'll mess this up. But the box set that came with all three of them, but painted in G1 colors with additional parts so that the camera mode looked like a proper actual camera. Reconnaissance Team 3 pack is
oh,
what it was
you're too
called.
quick for me. I was trying to look for it.
Um,
It was fantastic. Again, I would quite happily have that in my top 10.
yeah,
Beautiful box. Like it was, it felt special getting it.
yeah.
It didn't just feel like a normal toy release. It was like, oh, this is kind of funky and
Yeah,
cool.
the box was lovely. It had that little dome on it as well, to look like a camera lens. It came with a Kremzik, which is always a cool thing, and it's just a really nice thing. Let's not take away from the refractor mold for Siege was a really cool mold. You had the ability to combine them together to form the camera with the guns becoming the tripod. They each had the little sort of lens part that you could put on or not put on, depending on whether you wanted to make them look different. But also sort of formed the camera lens. Such great little figures. Oh, and
Yeah.
the shields that were the
Yep.
lens
That
casing.
became the landscapes.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, great. And as you say, it was a first proper kind of that felt like a proper modern update of the
yeah,
toy. Like that
yeah.
more so than the individual releases. Individual releases were nice, but that box set was absolutely
So
special.
nice,
Yeah.
so nice. Right, you.
Fantastic. So for me, I'm going to go Commander Class Jetfire. An absolute stonking toy. So many playable features that we're in a time where kind of crossovers and stuff we've talked about already. This had hand-holding facilities for G.I. Joe figures, which was really underplayed, but it was commented on when they first kind of revealed the toy and then never talked about it again. But you could pop bits down so that G.I. Joe figures could hold underneath him when he's in a robot mode, in jet mode, sorry. It just was a stonking big toy. at that point for me, it was and probably still is it from a Hasbro point of view, the best or the most accurate Skyfire, because I always try and separate them because I know that they're meant to be the same, but the fact that it's not like a Frenzy Rumble where the name's swapped around. The whole toy does not, the original toy does not look like anything on the screen and has a different name. So I just always was like, well, one's Jetfire, one's Skyfire, and I've
Mhm.
been quite happy in my head having it that way. This was the first proper, real good looking Skyfire that I managed to pick up. And again, it was one of those ones where I wasn't in a rush to get it. I think I had it pre-ordered. I went to TFN 2019. They had loads of them. It was a little bit more than I pre-ordered. I was like, no, no, I'll wait to pre-order. And then as soon as I saw somebody open it, I literally just went, I'm going back in the dealer hall, ran to the dealer hall with Jamie and picked one up. And I was not disappointed. It's a great toy and it's a really fun, easy transformation. Really, really clever toy. So a real stonker for me. Was
Yeah.
that the first Commander class?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. First Commander class, and a great one to kick that size off.
Yeah, no, it's I absolutely agree with you. He's a amazing, amazing figure. I really, really loved mine. Again, he went the way of the sale in the big cull of all of my chug stuff a few years ago, which I'm disappointed. But I did pick up the masterpiece version to sort of make myself feel better. But yeah, he
Yeah, but you got that
absolutely
for an Optimus Prime, to be fair.
hush now, hush
Eh,
now. Um, yeah, I did. But yeah, he's absolutely incredible figure. He's so massive. Um, the I think the only niggle I'd have at this point is that the whole thing with Siege was they had these little greebly details and stuff on them to make them look a bit more
yeah,
realistic, which
yeah.
which is nice,
The
and
kind of
I
battle
get it and
damage
I
kind of
like it.
paint
Yeah,
still,
almost
yeah.
like that. Yeah. I would like to see a reissue, redone, remold of that
Clean.
figure that's clean. That would be
Yeah.
perfection.
Well, the shattered glass was clean, and it's the
Was it?
shattered glass is beautiful. Like
Oh, I never got the.
genuinely, like I have a cabinet full of black bots of primes of different ones, just ones that I just love a black recolor of a bot when it looks really good. That is stunning, like absolutely
Hmm.
stunning. Okay, your next choice.
My next choice is another Siege figure. I've managed to keep going for them. I've gone for Siege Springer because we spoke a lot about Siege, Generation Springer from 330 line, which is a stonking figure. But he wasn't very G1. And now in Siege, we got this lovely Generation style G1 Siege Springer.
Yeah,
He's just lovely, so
yes,
lovely, to the
yes.
point that 4 years later, 5 years later, they're still using that mold to make the Studio Series figure, which is effectively the same figure, but they've sort of cleaned it up a bit and made him look
Thank you.
lovely. But he's so nice, so
Yes,
nice.
yes, yes. It's so good. And he is, of course, a wonderful Wrecker,
Yes.
which leads you on to my choice, which
Oh.
was Siege Impactor. And it's the first proper Hasbro mainline proper release of Impactor, and it's a great toy. It's a really fun toy. I've had like Springer, I've had every version that we mold. I have had the different versions of Impactor, and I actually also was able to gift a Siege Impactor to Simon Furman. I had one for sale at the first TFUK con, and we were chatting about it, and he was like, "Oh, I've never even experienced the mold," and I just was like, "Well, you have now," and just gave him everything. But how can you not have this? But I love the Siege Impactor mold. Again, back to the aspect of the cartoon, we get Impactor in a cartoon. Like so, as much as you can look at the negatives of the cartoon, I always try and look at the positives of. If it wasn't for that, we'd never have Impactor on screen. Like, and that's a big momentous moment. And, that they've done more of bringing the kind of funky comic characters to screen in the last few years than you could have ever anticipated. Stuff that you just thought, this is not going to be on screen. we're not going to get a Tarn, for example, was in Cybertron. You're not expecting that, but
No.
a great experience.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what were you for your next pick then?
Uh, I was just going to say on the Impactor, I did love the
Oh,
Impactor figure very much so. And again, we've been talking about repaints and repaints and repaints. They had the comic accurate head
yeah,
in the re-version. Was it Decepticon Impactor that
yeah.
had the? So it was a slight recolor and a slight remold, but he had the alternate head, which was a nice touch. But yeah, moving on. I am going to move away from Siege. Because this is the year that Studio Series was going great guns into the stratosphere, and they brought out Bumblebee Optimus Prime. My first Optimus Prime this year. Um, it's such a really good figure.
That's
Um,
really nice.
because when the Bumblebee line first came out, they didn't really know what Prime was going to look like. So the a lot of the toys were weird mishmashs of other versions of Optimus Prime, and it wasn't until you got the Studio Series figure that you actually got one that looked like how he did in the scenes in the film. And obviously, that's become one of the most popular iterations of Optimus Prime in the last few years. It's so nice to have a movie version of Prime who looks like Optimus Prime as opposed to who
Yeah,
looks like Bayverse Optimus Prime, who is his own
yeah.
thing, definitely. But, he's red, he's chunky, he's awesome. He hits things with an axe. What is not to like? But yeah, it's a great figure. I love it.
Fantastic choice. No, I agree. It's one that I really enjoy as well. So no, you picked a cracker there. I've went with one a little bit more out there, and I've went with it from the aspect. So I always talk about if you're naming your favorite movie, it's the movie you've played, the movie you've watched the most, your favorite songs, the songs you've listened to the most, blah blah blah. Favorite games, game. One of the toys I have played and transformed more than anything is one step bludgeon Cyberverse because for the longest time it's been my fidget bot. It's in my desk at work, and it just while I'm trying to focus, I just sit and transform the thing. It's such a fun little transformation. The colours on it pop. It might not be the best version of Bludgeon. I'm a big fan. Got multiple versions. It might not be the best, but it's a really fun, really good, clever, simple one stepper. And I really enjoy the one step stuff. I think it's really clever. It's really good. You know, whenever I've got my nieces or nephews have come over and they're like looking at all the Transformers, you can imagine going, "Ooh!" I've always got a couple of wee one steps, things like that, ready to go. Like, here's the ones you can play with. Do not touch any of these expensive ones. Please stay away from the toys. So I'm a big fan, and as I say, Bludgeon's great. Like the Cyberware hat did have some really good fun wee toys, and I didn't get as many for the boys as I did in the previous ones. We only kind of picked up a handful of stuff. Jamie always gets a Bumblebee. Jamie always gets an Optimus Prime. Sean just picked the random funky ones. He loves funky colours and stuff, so he picked kind of weird ones. But Legend was mine. So that's my pick. What about yourself? What's your next pick?
I took a bit of a curveball. I've gone for a box set. Again, it's another exclusive box set, and this was one of the nail on the coffin box sets for me in terms of buying stuff because it was expensive, it was difficult to get hold of, and then it became really easy to get hold of and really cheap, and that was annoying. And then it just disappeared. So now I think it's back to being really expensive.
Yeah.
But anyway, uh, and what I liked about this was it was using Earthrise figures, but it wasn't an Earthrise box set. This is a Transformers the movie box set, and that is the Quintesson Pit of Judgment. Um, Such a lovely set. You had the Alicons, you had the Quintesson Judge. You had the guard dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the guard's called. And you had a little Cradix. It was so nice to have a little Cradix.
That was
Um,
really nice.
yeah, it's a great little box set. And it's one of those ones that is so well designed that you don't want to take it out of the box because it
No,
all looks
that was
stunning.
a very, very well. design display pieces. Like that's built for a collector. That's not built for a kid. That's
No,
built for
no,
a
no,
collector.
no. But yeah, that was my one, which actually weirdly links into your next one.
Yes, and it is one of the best modern toys we've had. We talk about leaning into the collector aspect. You're doing a toy, you're doing something from Transformers the movie '86. It's only ever going to be for collectors. It's not really aimed at kids because the kids aren't the ones that are going to watching that movie unless their parents are making them watch it. My pick, I went for Studio Series Hot Rod. I've heard the phrase mini masterpiece be used by many people, overly used, if I'm honest, more than anything else. Now, I don't, if you want a masterpiece, buy a masterpiece. This is not a mini masterpiece. This is just, and the opposite end, it's the pinnacle of generations. That kind of collectors focused Hasbro line. It's the closest to masterpiece you're going to get it from that kind of that's in a sky size of scale. It is an absolute stonking toy. Looks fabulous in both modes. Can pose with the Matrix. It's got the effects to give you that kind of bit as the Matrix is glowing up and lighting up as it getting open. An absolute cracker. And I don't double dip in a lot of toys. I double dipped on that because it's a fun toy to transform, but it looks so good in both modes. I needed to have both modes, so I double dipped on it. And I think a few, there's another one in this list that I double dipped on as well for the same reason, because I just think I want to be able to see, without
Mm.
transforming, I want to see both of them. Doesn't stop me transforming, I still transform them, but it also means I get to transform it twice because I need to put it back into the original mold depending on which one I've grabbed.
Yeah, it was such a lovely, lovely, lovely figure. So accurate. Just lovely to fiddle with and transform. Fun accessories and
And and another one that got a beautiful Shattered Glass remake, which
mm.
was just purples and blacks on that one. Gorgeous. So then we got to yours, and again, you've picked another toy that I'm like, I can just put that on my list. It's one of the best.
Which one are you thinking of?
Number six.
Oh yeah, sorry. Um,
The one after
Netflix.
the one you did last.
Well, yeah, I'm just surprised that you thought that. But the so with the Netflix TV series, they brought out a Netflix line, which weirdly neither of us have picked Bumblebee. Interesting.
Oh,
That is an
no, and I'll
interesting.
tell you for why when I get to my pick.
That's oh yeah, yeah, I see. But yeah, so they did the Netflix line. They did the Netflix line of toys, which were exclusives. I can't remember what they were exclusives for, but we got them in Smiths over here, so that wasn't a problem. They were lovely. There's some really, really awesome figures. They had the weird spoiler packs. So each series they had a
Yeah,
pack
they
that
were
was a
weird.
spoiler for the show, which is a weirdly repainted figure with some black goo and a few other extra fun accessories. Two of those were good. I never got the third one. Um, but anyway, my pick. I did debate about this. I almost went for Soundwave because Soundwave was actually really, really nice. Um, but I went for the Netflix Optimus Prime because the Earthrise Optimus Prime mold is really, really nice, and I would argue that it's the best chug Optimus Prime until Studio Series 86 came out, which is just the best mainline Optimus Prime ever. I would probably
Agreed.
argue. Uh, but the Earthrise mold before that was such a stonking mold. It was so nice. It was really posable, really good transformation, really good fiddlebot. It looked really good. It looked like Optimus Prime. It looked like G1 Optimus Prime the same way it looked like the character in the cartoons. And the Netflix color scheme on it was just a little bit more interesting. It popped
Yeah,
a little bit more. It was nice. And it came with two random Minicom weapon dudes, which I immediately sold, I think. Only downside was it doesn't come with a trailer, which the
yeah,
other one did. But that's good because the only thing that's wrong with the Earthrise mold is the teeny tiny rubbish trailer.
yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I ended up with both of them, probably like you did as well. So I didn't really need the trailer. So I already had a trailer, so I was kind of okay with it not coming with a trailer. But I think it's just a slightly better paint mold. And
Yeah,
Studio Series is the best, but I don't think it's quite the same Fiddlebot that Prime is. I don't think it's quite as fun just to sit and can transform without
yeah.
your attention to it.
It had that
I
weird
think,
cab big thing that went on the top
yeah.
that I didn't like. Yeah.
So I think that was a great choice. And again, like, kind of feel so lucky that we get to even the was it Siege Optimus Prime was a really good Optimus Prime. So
Oh
you
yeah.
actually had, a really good Optimus Prime, then a really, really good Optimus Prime, and now you've had a really, really, really good Optimus Prime. But that's it. They're just going to stop releasing Optimus Primes now because actually, where do you go now? That's the challenge. Where do you go now? Just don't do it ever again. Oh no, wait, we just go to the age of the Primes where we do multiple other versions of Primes.
Fine.
Uh,
Right. Where are you going next?
Me going, I am going to Sky Lynx, the
Ah,
next to the Commander class, and again, an absolute stonking toy. It has all the character from. He was such a fun character in the show. Um, I have the reissue of the original toy. Thought that was fantastic. I bought the one from. What's the next? Was it in
it was in
Final
Combiner
Wars?
Wars. Yeah,
Final
yeah.
Wars, yeah. Again, that was a really nice one. This just absolutely blew me away when I got it, and I remember it's like, this is great. My wife really liked it because it probably had NASA on it, an actual, branded NASA
Yeah.
ship, which is just mad to think. But it really brings his character to life. So I'm a big fan of that mold, big fan of the character. So that's my pick.
Yeah, no, Skylynx is one I would have put in there if you hadn't beaten me to it. It's just such a lovely figure. I mean, I really enjoyed the Combiner Wars one, but the problem with the Combiner Wars one was it didn't have
Split.
the split. That's the word I was trying to think of. And yeah, and also they brought out around the same time lots of the mini bots that you could sort of create this entire space station sort of set up and combine it all together, and even go with Omega Supreme. And oh, so good. But yeah, he's got so much personality. He's just such a fun bot. I
Yeah.
think he was one of my first. I did a video review for him on Fingers of Plastic back in the day, and it was one of the first videos I did, and it went quite well. So yeah, awesome figure. Um, I'm going to go for a masterpiece figure this time, and my third Optimus of the of this review session, and that is masterpiece Leo Convoy or Lio Convoy. Um, he's just so the Japanese Beast Wars stuff. I have a massive soft spot for because it is absolutely bonkers, crazy insanity. And the Lion Octopus Prime, Leo Convoy. I've loved I wanted different versions of it for a really long time. It took me a while to get the actual original Beast Wars 2 one, or Beast Wars 2, yeah. And yeah, it was great. But this version, he's so tune accurate. He's got a really nice transformation. He just looks lovely. He feels really good. It's a lovely figure.
Yeah, it's one that's always been on my list of I kind of want that, kind of want it, I kind of want it. The Hasbro release, kind of recently, fairly recent Hasbro release, kind of scratched the itch for it, but I still think I'd like that on my MP kind of Beast Wars shares.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got a good choice too. So no, that's a great choice. My next one. So you said we didn't have the Bumblebee. I didn't have the Bumblebee, and the reason I didn't have the Bumblebee. Bumblebee is absolutely outstanding, and it is one that, like the Hot Rod, I have two of because it's just so fun. And I probably buy a third just because I don't know why, just love it, love that mode. But I think for me, I didn't have Bumblebee or Cliffjumper growing up. I had Hubcap, and for the longest time I couldn't understand who Hubcap was. It's like, what is this toy? The Hubcap version, which is it's a rebuild. Like Bumblebee comes at the Cliffjumper, it's slightly different. Then the hubcap just brought to life a toy that I've had for probably nearly 40 years, and was one of my favourites growing up. Just always liked it. So you able to get a kind of modern version of it, and they're just that mold which they used for Bumblebee, Goldbug, Shattered Glass Goldbug. I know it's slightly obviously removed, but I'm gonna get at the hubcap, the cliff jumper, the white
Yeah, the white cliff jumper. What
hubcap,
was it?
no,
What was his name?
bug
Bug
bite.
bite. Yeah, yeah,
And then I got another hubcap and a customed into being Bumble Jumper. I think that mold was just such a fun. I
yeah,
love mini bots. Like I had a good few mini bots when I was growing up because mum and dad kind of liked the mini bot scale price. So I had a good few of the mini bots. So I've
yeah,
always had a soft spot for the mini bots. And at this point, the mini bots were, I think in the last episode we talked about petty types. We talked about Beachcomber and Sea Spray being absolutely fantastic. This continued into this. The mini bots were still good mini bot size. I don't really like them going bigger because it's too big for me. Like a mini
yeah.
bot should be a mini bot. So that was my choice and a good time period because there's so many good adaptations to that kind of mood.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you on that. It's a great little figure. The interesting thing because obviously the Netflix Bumblebee became like quite rare, as did the Soundwave because everybody wanted them because they were G1 accurate and lovely, and the normal version of C Soundwave was that weird spaceship thing,
Yeah,
and there wasn't a normal Bumblebee. But because of the deal with Netflix meant that those exclusive molds couldn't be used for
yeah,
what 4 or 5 years. So we've only
yeah.
just got we've just got them come back in the
Yeah.
last sort of
We've
year.
had the same. We've not had the Bumblebee's not come back out again, has it?
No, no, Bumblebee hasn't, but
Not for a while.
yeah, the Soundwave has. Right, I'm going to move on to a Kingdom figure who is actually somebody who's been done several times again since, and that is Kingdom Blaster. I always quite liked Blaster in the same way I've liked Soundwave. In the same way, like Soundwave, he's just it's always fun to have like a role play
Yeah,
item
yeah. No, no, I agree.
Transformer, and I really, really enjoyed him. I never had Blast as a kid because he never came out over here. I didn't even see him until like all of the various reissues. Um,
Same.
and he's a great. The Kingdom version is a really, really nice figure.
Yeah,
The only weird thing is that he comes with, is it eject he comes with, or is it
yeah. It's transparent. I
yeah,
never remember. I never remember which one's eject and which one's rewind. By the way. Oh no, I do. I do. Because
I think
rewind's
it's
black because he's Chrome Dome's friend, isn't he?
yeah.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Look, I did remember.
Well done,
Just when I
you.
put logic into it. But yeah, that
Uh,
was annoying. That was annoying.
Yeah, and I love a clear plastic bot. That's not. I even ordered one this week. But yeah, it was an odd choice. It didn't seem to have any need for it. And obviously he's now been repainted as Studio Series 86 Blaster, which I actually need to track down. I held off on getting him, and now he seems to have disappeared from everywhere. So yeah, need to try and get hold of one of those. Oh, you got some? Oh, okay, well, that's easy. Right, yours.
Yeah. So I'm going to go into my Titan. I'm going to pick a Titan, and that is Scorponok. Earthrise Scorponok is unbelievably good. I annoyingly, if I went with G1 stuff, Metroplex and Fort Max are my favourites. Like Fort Max is my one of my favourite toys of all time.
Mhm.
Metroplex is one of my favourite toys for childhood. And the modern Titans, I think Scorponok and Triptychon are just untouchable. I think both of them are so much more fun, much more character to them, much more
Mm.
posability, much more playability. The Scorponok mold is just outstanding. And if you add on the aftermarket kits, it just makes it look an incredible toy. I remember getting it in and get delivered, and I was like, this. It was the first time I'd got a delivery of a Titan rather than going to pick it up, and it was like, oh, God, to this thing coming in. I think my wife was ready to kill me, but it was an absolute cracker. So that's my pick.
Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. I was disappointed with how he was portrayed in the cartoon because
Yeah,
he was just this big thing that didn't really have a personality, and then they fought him for an episode, and then that was him done. Didn't even transform into robot mode, I don't think. He was just a big scorpion. and there's nothing about his head
Yeah,
anyway. But
fine,
that's
right.
that. But yeah, amazing figure, amazing. I'm going to sidestep back to Studio Series 86 and go for Nor. We did talk about Nor, the Combiner Wars version,
Which was
but the
amazing.
absolutely amazing little figure. But the Studio Series 86 one just takes all of the good things about that little Legends class Nor and just ups it a little notch and
Only
just
bit I
makes this.
like about the Legends class, the previous one, was the colours are just
Oh, they
that
pop
wee bit nicer.
so much. Yeah,
Especially more in the shark mode rather than the robot mode. The robot,
yeah,
I far prefer the Studio 86 robot mode to the
yeah.
previous one. But there's something about that previous
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
shark mode, the colours and stuff.
Uh,
But this is a toy that is just so good, isn't it?
yeah, he's so fun, and having the sort of G1 accurate weapons and stuff, and it's just so lovely,
Yeah,
and I really like it.
yeah,
It was I made the decision early on with the Studio Series 86 line that I wasn't going to army build because I army build things all the time. My GI Joe collection is stupid because of my army building predilections. But yeah, I decided not to. But it was very tempting recently when ID In Demand Toys rather had him on sale and were doing like cases of six for a
yeah.
not very much money.
That was
Anyway,
stupidly good price.
yeah.
I think for that, I was the same as you. I was like, I'm not going to shoot. I had China army built the previous one. I'm not going to build again. Just going to buy one because I think it's like we talked about with the refractor. I think this is a really good toy upgrade. Like it
Mm,
looks like a toy.
yeah.
Like the head sits and stuff. I just think it looks like a toy. I was definitely not going to eat this army build, and then printing toys. We bought in the mini ones. And as soon as I opened one pack of them, I was like, I'm in trouble. I must have 4 packs of them minimum. So I must have at least 12 of them. They're taking a toy that is so much fun. I've got the oversized one as well, which it loses a bit of the charm. It kind of
Yeah.
doesn't have the same. The putting it down in size, just something about it. So I've just got like one on my desk at the office, and then I've got a pile, and they're like dotted around my shelves. It's not as if they're on one shelf. I just started putting them places, and I was telling people at Reading, I was like, please buy my last boxes off me, otherwise I'm going to end up buying taking another box because I know like. But no, that's an absolutely fantastic choice. And sometimes the small toys are really fun, really simple. You know, we just talked about Scorponok, and I know we talk something big in a minute with you, but my last pick for my top 10 of my, before we get to honourable mentions, was the Origins Bumblebee. The first time we see in a main line in Hasbro that first appearance Bumblebee
Yeah.
in a toy format, it was a really fun bit. It came with his Energon rods. That just made me smile and happy.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it again shown. I was like, that's awesome. Like I really like that. And I know we've had the Tetra Jets and we've had, so many bits that Soundwave and his lamp kind of style, as you say, kind
Yeah.
of shuttle could that weird shuttle thing could be made into that. We've seen other things have a kind of bit of a throwback, but I don't think anything did it as well as the
No.
Origin Bumblebee. The jazz that they do later on looks
Yeah.
kind of nice, but the Origin Bumblebee is just a
Yeah.
great representation of that original kind of appearance in the cartoon.
Yeah. It's a stonking figure. I've not owned it, and I might get the reissue in it. In is it Legacy is coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I may well pick one up, but then I'll want all the other ones as well. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, he's great, and it's so nice. As you say, it's the first time that we've ever had a G1 cartoon Cybertron mode style. We've had Cybertron modes up the wazoo from various other lines, but this is the first time they ever did it on the G1 cartoon style, and that is lovely. Right, my last one, nothing significant. It's
Oh,
only the absolute biggest and most expensive Transformer ever released, and that's the first Transformers HasLab, and that is Unicron. Oh my God, that figure! I I ordered it. As I was saying to Moff earlier, I was in a queue to go up the Toronto Tower on holiday in Canada in 2019, and I had Primetime Greg messaging me about the fact that he could get them and the fact that yeah, and I had to send him a fairly substantial amount of money while stood in the queue of of a tower in order to secure my one. Because at that point, it was only available in America. It hadn't gone to the British retailers at the time. Um, Anyway, it's amazing. It's such a fantastic looking figure. The thing that has always been a little bit of a bone of contention with it is that it is based on War for Cybertron Siege style. It's not G1. So it's got like the greebly bits and it's not as clean. Well, actually, Unicron shouldn't be clean anyway, but and it's not quite G1 style, which has always been a little bit of contention. But it's so nice. It's so
And
amazing. It's so big.
yeah, I got the kit. There's a kit that you can get that you can split so you can have both versions of it at the same time.
Yeah,
So I bought it for me and Greg, and we've never done it because where do you put a second Unicron? Like that was it sounded like a good idea, and it was one of those ones that I'll buy it now because if it then stops being available, then I'll regret it. I'll buy it while I go around to it, and I should because I have it in my display in planet mode because it just has such a presence to it in planet mode. It's gorgeous. It's a stonking thing. Like it is one
yeah.
of the coolest things I've ever owned. And I totally did not even think about it when I was going through the list. And you then showed me your list before we started recording. I'm like, oh no, how did I not put it? But I'm
I
more
must.
than happy you've put it in because I get to talk about it anyway.
I fully admit I hadn't actually twigged that it came out then. It just hadn't connected until I was going through it and just saw it as I was scrolling. I
Yeah,
was like, oh,
I
I
think
better
it's
put that in.
yeah, I think it's the aspect for me. It was the I didn't back it. Couldn't justify the money at the time. We were buying a house at the time when it was announced, and it was like, nah, I'd love to get this, but it's just not going to happen. I'll tell my story of how I get it in the next year because that's I think the next year's a kind of pivotal, or the next period's a pivotal period for me. So I'll share that story in the next one. But finally have it in hand, it's just incredible, absolutely incredible. So
Yeah.
no, an absolute stonking choice. So let's go into our honourable mentions then, right? So one of
Yes.
them I put, and you'd already mentioned it, was the aspect that like at this time we talked about the toy lines, we talked about the fact that we just talked about Haslab coming
Yeah.
out with something big and expensive. We start to see more expensive, more proper collector, high-end market toys coming out with the Haslabs, and
Yeah.
then we kind of kick into the Robust and stuff. And the Robust and stuff is, yep, I got a Haslab unicorn. The Robust and stuff's not hit the point where I'm in the I need to buy one yet. Now, when they do a sound wave, that'll change. But that Robust and Optimus Prime,
Oh,
when it was
that was so
first
good.
revealed, was like, what? This is momentous, momentous.
It's so weird because for a couple of years before that, there was that sort of viral video that went round of that auto transforming car thing
Yeah.
that was Optimus Prime but wasn't Optimus Prime. And then obviously that became the Robo Sen Optimus Prime. So obviously Hasbro must have seen that and gone, hey, you could cease and desist on that. Or what you could do is you could license it and give us loads of money and make this amazing toy. It's absolutely brilliant. Mine is up on my shelf. It's not an issue with it, but you can't display it in robot mode without a stand because the way the servos work on it is that the power in the servos is what makes it stand up. So as soon as you remove the power, he sort of sits down. So
That's why they sold the separate stand then eventually.
Eventually, I haven't got the stand yet. I need to get one of those, but it takes up so much room because the base of it is so massive. So instead, I got my brother to 3D print me one. So he's just on
Right.
a 3D printed stand. But yeah, amazing, amazing figure. Right, my first honourable mention is the box set that killed my collection of Chug, because it's a box set that is actually a rubbish box set and is not. Well, actually, no, that's not true. It's a lovely box set, but it has now become really quite easy to get hold of. But at the time, it was impossible. When I was in America, it apparently went on sale in Target really, really cheap. Never saw it. Couldn't get hold of it. When it came to over here and it was at TFN, it sold out in like 10 seconds and then nobody ever had it again. Couldn't get it. And because I couldn't get it and because I was a completionist, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't be bothered anymore. And that is the Rainmakers box set. It's a nice box set. It's got just three. repainted versions of the Siege Starscream mold. They're lovely, but
It was not worth the money that it was going for at one point. It really was.
no, it was not. And then just after I decided to sell all my stuff, it got reissued, and I was like, well, tough. I've already made my decision. Yours?
I'm going to kick. I'm just. We're kind of running short on time in this episode, so I'm going to just quickly run through my kind of
Go
other
for it.
ones. So I talked about the kind of comics, but the Exotron and Gigawatt via the collabs, having them have G1 boxes, having them have they feel like G1 toys.
Mm.
Exotron more so probably than the Gigawatt. Exotron feels like a G1 toy, looks like a kind of G1 toy. It's got the bulkiness to it. But in alt mode, both of them are absolutely gorgeous versions of the
Yeah.
original kind of vehicles are meant to be, but fun toys. My other ones, MP44. I know we could
It's
chat
fine.
for about for forever as
Got a
well,
whole episode on it.
but I personally think that's the best version of Optimus Prime we've ever had. I absolutely love it. I think it's an absolute beautiful, beautiful
Mhm.
robot, and I know that Studio Series is really good. It just when I've put him beside his I'm still like, nope, nope, you're okay. He's good. It's not great.
No.
And then the final one, we talk about the aspect of having some funky wreckers appear in our top tens. Rack and Ruin, getting a Rack and Ruin, and I actually got my Rack and Ruin on my 40th birthday. Went out to Glasgow for dinner, went to Forbidden Planet, Rack and Ruin was sitting there, and I was like, well, I'm going to buy this. It's maybe not the best toy, in
No.
fact, it's pretty crap, but it's a Rack and Ruin. Like, we actually have a Rack and Ruin toy, so I was very happy to get it.
I'm
So
sure
that's
that
my
they're
honourable mentions
Yeah,
finished.
I'm sure they'll do a proper version of him at some time. My other honorable mentions, just going through really quickly. Omega Supreme, the Siege Titan class, because we hadn't mentioned him properly. We sort of mentioned him before, but he is such a lovely,
Yes.
amazing looking, fun figure, and the fact that you can combine him with other sort of building stuff to make a whole city amazing. The RED line, which we haven't really talked about, when they finally decided for some inexplicable reason to make action figure Transformers that didn't transform. I was really excited about them before they came out, and then when they came out, I was quite disappointed with them because they felt
Yeah.
a bit cheap and they weren't as nice as they looked when they did like the video reveals and stuff, which was during COVID actually.
Yeah.
But of them, my favorite by far is the Soundwave figure.
Agree.
It's really nice. It's
That's
got
really
a
nice, actually.
thing. He's a really nice figure. And my last one was the 35th anniversary cell shaded Optimus Prime in the Siege mold. It's a shame it was the Siege mold rather than a different
Yes.
mold because
Yeah.
that didn't really make sense. But it was just really nice to have a mainline Hasbro released cell shaded figure. And
The
I really
Earthrise
like
one would have been so much nicer in it. Like, it
yeah.
would have been, it is a shame, but it is what it is. You know, surprised we never got a 40th. Maybe get a Studio Series version of it. Oh, no, there was that funky convention exclusive one
Yeah,
that we
they did Studio Series 86 cell shaded, but the cell shaded stuff was stickers.
stickers. Oh, I saw
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, I don't want
No, so that was our look through another fantastic period of collecting. We've rattled through 3 years, and there is an aspect we're not giving it full justice. Going through all the toys, there's some absolute stonkers in there that we've not talked about, but absolutely fun conversation around that. And I'm very much looking forward to the next bit where we'll talk about legacy, and then culminating the end of our look back at the Transformers. It's been a fun ride so far, and we're almost at the end, and there's still so much more we could go back and talk about, which is crazy.
that. Yeah.
But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Simon, for being here today with me.
All right.
Remember to keep an eye on the channel, like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. We've got loads of extra stuff coming up, and we've got plans to what we're going to do in 2025, which is crazy to think that that's like very, very soon, and we're going to have to get our butt in gear thinking about that. But I'm looking forward to it. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.